Previously, he had gained a teacher. His father found out that he was the one who dealt with the other students. His teacher reminded him that he couldn't mix magic with sword mana. Now, on to the next chapter. We open with a sweeping view of Eisen Village, a peaceful settlement bathed in warm golden sunlight filtering through the trees. The village is bustling quietly, with quaint cottages and cobbled paths that suggest a history of tranquility. In this serene setting, a lone rider cloaked in travel gear approaches the outskirts on horseback, the dust settling softly behind him as he gazes upon the familiar sight of his home. This moment of return triggers a somber memory within Oscar, pulling him back to a time of quiet despair within a dimly lit room. In this memory, an older, frail man lies in a lavish bed, his face marked with the lines of age and illness. Oscar, standing by the bedside, greets him softly, acknowledging that it's been a long while since they last spoke. The old man, Oscar's father, weakly calls out his son's name, his voice trembling as he beckons Oscar to come closer for a moment. As Oscar kneels beside the bed, his father's hand, weathered and trembling, reaches out to grasp Oscar's shoulder. The touch is heavy with expectation and regret. The father murmurs that, just as he'd always suspected, Oscar possesses true talent. In the father's internal thoughts, a deep-seated conviction surfaces. He believes he wasn't wrong to force Oscar to abandon magic in the past, viewing his son's physical prowess as the only true path. The memory fades, replaced by the crisp reality of the present evening. Oscar stands before the imposing iron gates of his family estate, the cool night air settling around him. With a steady gaze and an air of unwavering resolve, he declares his intention. This time, he will ask to be allowed to enroll in the Magic Academy. Inside the stone courtyard, lit up by the flickering light of a standing torch, Oscar approaches a man standing there. This is his father in the present, healthy, imposing, and dressed in a dark, militaristic tunic with a sword in his hands. The father turns, his expression neutral but curious, asking if Oscar needs something from him. Oscar steps into the light, holding out a pristine white envelope sealed with blue wax. He states plainly that he's come to have his invitation signed. The father looks down at him, his brow furrowing in confusion. He asks what this is all about so suddenly, noting that Oscar could do this any time, implying a routine administrative task. However, as the father takes the envelope and reads the inscription, his casual manner disappears from his face. Oscar, pleased that his father took the letter, comments that he is happy as he could not enroll into the Magic Academy without his signature. A bead of sweat trickles down his temple as he processes the request. His eyes filled with a mix of shock and disappointment, and asks Oscar why he would choose magic. He presses his hand to his forehead, as if nursing a sudden headache caused by his son's rebellion. He reminds Oscar of his birthright, stating that he was born as his son, and has studied the sword, hasn't he? Oscar, his expression unyielding, asks his father if he remembers the time he confessed he wanted to use magic. The father's face hardens, shadows casting his features into a frown. He dismisses that memory entirely, saying that such talk was merely childish nonsense. With a decisive motion, the father moves and places a hand on him to check his energy. Oscar quietly says that he supposes that's how his father sees it. Blue sparks of mana begin to dance wildly around them, lighting up the courtyard with a mysterious glow. The father pulls back, shouting in shock, asking what kind of joke this is and how Oscar has learned mana. Oscar stands amidst the fading sparks, his silhouette framed by the lingering magical energy. He admits that he thought this display of power was the only way to convince his father. The father, eyes wide with shock, repeats the word convince as if it were a foreign concept, demanding to know what exactly Oscar is trying to convince him of. His shock shifts quickly into an aggressive lecture. He steps forward, shouting that he heard about Oscar's recent feats, specifically that he defeated his brothers. The father's logic spills out in a rush of desperate reasoning. He argues that for Oscar to win against trained swordsmen without even possessing sword aura demonstrates a terrifying level of natural talent. In his eyes, this victory is proof of Oscar's destiny as a warrior, not a mage. Oscar calmly replies that he understands. The father, frustrated by what he sees as stubbornness, screams back that Oscar doesn't understand at all. He tells his son to listen, insisting that if he just becomes a swordsman, he's guaranteed to succeed. The father's vision is narrow, focused solely on prestige and martial dominance. Oscar, however, offers a sad smile. He agrees that his father's judgment is likely correct regarding success. But then, his expression softens as he delivers the core of his philosophy. Success doesn't always equal happiness. A brief, sepia-toned image flashes in Oscar's mind, a contrast between a life of rigid, unhappy swordsmanship and a life filled with the wonder of magic alongside Isabel. The father stares at him, the realization of their fundamental difference sinking in, his expression darkening into something more threatening. He states that he now understands, but his conclusion is chilling. He mutters that perhaps there's still time to fix this error. A dark violet aura begins to spread from the father's body, swirling ominously around him. He asks his father if he's forgotten the lethal consequences of mixing powers, reminding him that when two powers flow through the circuits, the user dies. His father, calm, simply asks, "But what of it?" The atmosphere in the courtyard grows heavy with murderous intent. The father, his eyes glowing with purple energy, declares that if Oscar intends to walk the wrong path, he will beat that stubborn nature out of him. He grips the hilt of his sword, the metal singing as he prepares to draw. He tells Oscar that even if he doesn't understand now, someday he will thank his father for this intervention. Oscar's face remains silent, a mask of cold resolve. He thinks with absolute certainty that such a day will never come. A tragic vision briefly appears over reality. The image of his father on his deathbed, a future that never reconciled, accompanied by him thinking, "It never came." Snapping back to the present conflict, his father orders him to go get his sword. He pauses, surprised by the challenge. His father adds that he will at least wait for that much, granting a moment of honor before the clash. Oscar's eyes flare with a brilliant blue light. He reminds his father that he's a mage now. To emphasize this declaration, the enrollment letter from the Sword Academy in Oscar's hand, he suddenly throws it into the fire as it bursts into bright orange flames. The father watches the invitation turn to ash, his eyes widening in shock at the blatant destruction of the school he wanted his son to go to. It's a total rejection of the father's authority. Behind Oscar, a massive projection of blue energy appears, taking the form of a spectral knight, skills of his former self ready for battle once more. He invites his father to try and see if he can beat the magic out of him.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and like. It really helps me out.